Hello, my name's Karen Comer. I am the author of Grace Notes, a young adult verse novel book. Thank you so much for your interest in Grace Notes. When I started to write Grace Notes, I knew that I wanted to write about a boy who loved drawing. And I thought that I'd need to make it a little bit bigger. So what could be bigger, what could be the biggest form of drawing would be street art, because that's so audacious to paint something over potentially 10 stories, 12 stories high. So I thought that I'd write about Crux, my character who liked to draw. But while I was writing about Crux, I kept getting an image of a girl playing her violin in a tram. And I thought, okay, you're the next story. Whoever you are, violin girl, you are in my next book. But I kept seeing an image of her, and I realized that playing a violin, performing music on stage, is just as audacious as painting street art. So I decided that their stories belong together and that they would mirror each other. So while I was starting to write this book in February 2020, I decided that the antagonists would be their parents, that their parents wanted them to play safe, not to break any rules, and for Grace to have a more academic career. But it wasn't really enough. The parents weren't really enough of an antagonist. And so as I was writing and we entered into the first lockdown in 2020, I realized that COVID had naturally crept into my work. I hadn't planned to do it, but I decided that I'd keep exploring this, and it turned out that COVID was actually the antagonist of the book. I would imagine that it might be useful for young people before they read Grace Notes to think about their own experiences of COVID, because we all had different experiences, and to also think about their own passions. Grace and Crux are so passionate about their arts, and I love to hear about what teenagers are interested in and what they're passionate about. So it would be wonderful to find out what your students are interested in, what their passions are. I hope that there's lots to discuss for students after they've read Grace Notes. Themes such as domestic violence, following your passions, who is truly essential, art versus science, the relationships that parents and teenagers have, stretching the boundaries, still showing respect. I also hope that students are interested in verse novels, that if Grace Notes is the first verse novel that they've read, that they're tempted to read more, because we have so many wonderful Australian verse novels. What I love about verse novels is that they're fabulous for reluctant readers, because there's a lot less words and there's a lot of white space and the poems just flow on from one another. But for your voracious reader, there's so many layers of meaning and so many nuances and all the beauty of lyrical language. So I hope that students would be encouraged to look at other verse novels and to perhaps explore writing some poetry themselves. Thank you so much again for your interest in Grace Notes, and I wish you and your students all the very best. Thank you.